What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Garden Room Podcast. I hope you guys are doing good, feeling good. Today is going to be a good day. I'm excited for this episode. I'm excited you guys are here. And if you're new, my name is Mari Thrower, and these are just devotional episodes to hopefully encourage you and uplift you guys throughout your week. But I want to get right into the word. I want to get right into today's topic, you guys, because this is something that was just honestly so incredibly encouraging to me as I was reading it throughout this week, and really just it ministered to my heart, where the Lord reminded me and helped me to see a lot of the things that I can be chasing after, going after, and trying to just gain as my reward in life are oftentimes things that are not going to bring me the full validation, the full fulfillment, and just what I'm really looking for in life. And so a lot of us, especially in this age range from late teens to early 20s, mid 20s, going into 30s, we are looking for that one thing, something that is going to fill us up, something that's going to make us feel successful and look good, and something that is just going to be rewarding. We want that one thing that just tells us at the end of your life, you spent this time well, you did what you were supposed to do, and you want this reward because of the work that you put in, because of the legacy you've left behind, because of what you've made out of your life. And we're all seeking different little rewards throughout each step, throughout each part of our lives. And so right now I had to start just putting on a different perspective and putting on a different just mindset, because a lot of the things that I feel like are rewarding, I'm now seeing how temporary they can be. I'm now seeing how unfulfilling they can be, but I had to start praising God for that and recognizing who God is and how much He validates me, and ultimately how rewarding it is the more I get to spend time in His presence. And so I want to read out of Genesis, and we're going to go to chapter 15 and read verses 1 through about 7, or really 1 through about 6. And so starting with verse 1, it says, "After this, the word of the Lord came to Abraham in a vision. 'Do not be afraid, Abraham. I am your shield and your very great reward.'" And I just want to pause right there, because that statement alone was very, very just uplifting to me, because a lot of times we can start having fears when we feel like we can't obtain and get to the reward that we're looking for. We start having fears that our future is looking different than what we thought it was going to be. We start having fears when we feel like we just can't work hard enough to get to these big glamorous things that we were wanting or we thought we were going to have at this stage of our lives. But this was so just disarming to hear and just be reminded that God is my great reward, and I don't have to be afraid of what I don't have. I don't have to be afraid of what I can't get. I can have full faith and confidence in who God is, and that He is my full reward. So continuing, it says, "But Abraham said, 'Sovereign Lord, what can you give me, since I remain childless? And the one who will inherit my estate is Eliezer of Damascus.' And Abraham said, 'You have given me no children, so a servant in my household will be my heir.'" And we can see right here that Abraham is still talking to the Lord out of a place of fear, saying, "God, you haven't given me this. You haven't given me that. I don't have a son to leave behind," especially in that time, in that day and age. It was very important to have a son to be able to leave just your legacy behind to. And you can see Abraham's like, "I'm trying to figure out all these different ways to have someone else lined up for me to be able to just give the rest of all the things I've accumulated, all the things I've worked towards, because God, you haven't given me this one thing. You haven't given me what I feel like I need as my reward for my life." And so continuing, it says, "Then the word of the Lord came to him. 'This man will not be your heir, but a son who is your own flesh and blood will be your heir.' He took him outside and said, 'Look up at the sky and count the stars, if indeed you can count them.' Then he said to him, 'So shall your offspring be.'" And in the midst of just reading that, you guys, I just had to pause, because there's been so many times where I've just missed out on enjoying the reward of who God is, because I feel like it's found in something else. But recognizing that God sees us, He hears us, He knows what we need, and He is listening to that. And it does not always mean He's going to give us exactly what we want when we want it, but when He has our heart, then we can start to see that He is going to start working in ways that we could not ask, we could not think or imagine of. And that's where Abraham is in this moment, and God's saying, "Look, Look up at the stars. Look at what I've created and know that I can create a magnificent miracle inside of you and through you for generations to come. And so that was just so encouraging to me, you guys. But continuing in the last verse, it says, Abraham believed the Lord and he credited it to him as righteousness. And I just wanted to reflect on that, you guys, because when the Lord tells us something, it can be so easy for us to say, God, that is way too big. That seems way too unattainable. We go from something that we really want, that we keep trying to figure out in the natural, how is this going to work? How can I make this happen? It doesn't seem like this is going to be able to take place. So therefore, I have a backup plan. But then we see that God has a plan, and we see that he's already been working, and that he really just wanted our heart to begin the motion of what he wanted to do through us and in us. And then we recognize and say, God, that sounds too big. God, how are you going to make that happen? I've been trying for all this time. How is this supposed to take place? But I love how Abraham just stood there and believed what God said. And not just believe the fact that he was going to have a son, believe the fact that there's going to be generations to come, as many as the stars. But I truly believe that he thought in that moment that God is my great reward. God is my great reward in this moment. And we see that when we jump later in the book of Genesis, and we see that he still probably could have had that mindset when he was about to sacrifice his son Isaac. I can only imagine that he had to have a heart for God to even take his son up on the mountain, build him an altar, and say, God, I'm going to give this back to you, because I know, as you told me, to not be afraid from the very beginning and know what my real reward is. And so I want you guys to remember that. I want you guys to just keep that at just the forefront of your headspace and your heart, that when you start recognizing that God is your great reward, no matter what he gives you, no matter what he asks to take back away, that he will always, always, always be the biggest fulfillment, the greatest thing that you can obtain, the greatest thing that you can have in this life. And because of that, we know that we can trust in God. We know that we can believe in what he's doing. And we know from that, other people are going to be able to see the benefits of what God is doing in our lives and really through us. Because God is so good. He is so great. He is so glorious. And we don't want to miss out on seeking all these other things. And we miss the most important piece of just the promise. And that is his presence. And so as you're seeking all these different things in life, as you're trying to obtain and grab hold to so many different things, keep going after the Lord first and foremost, and know that he is your great and ultimate reward in this life. But as we wrap up this episode, you guys, I am just so incredibly thankful for you. I know I've been saying it every episode, but it has been such a joy just even getting to know some of you guys a little bit more personally, and I'm excited just to be here. I'm praying for you guys always. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and until the next episode, you guys, keep growing with God. See you guys later.